Hey folks, Keith McGowan here. I am the Outboard Dad, here to help you and Mina have a better boating experience. Mina got a free boat. Last week we had a guy with a free boat. What's with the free boats?
I don't know. They're all over Facebook, man.
So I see you did some work over here and you tore out the floorboards. Was it rotted?
Yeah, the floorboards were definitely a mess. You'd step on them and you can definitely feel the flexing. So we spent a day and a half just demolition, taking everything out.
Cool. Well, when you start over, you know what you've got.
Yes.
But you also did your own test. Didn't you say you put this in the water?
I did. I put it in the water, tried to get it running. It's running, but I think it definitely needs a tune-up.
Okay. So when you put it in the water, you didn't have the floorboards in there, right?
I didn't. I put
So you had the plug in.
I did.
Which is
that was
good.
the first step.
But you could see completely down into the hull.
I could.
So who knows better than you now that this boat doesn't leak?
No one.
How else are you going to know that? Who's going to rip up the floorboards just to, right? You had to do it anyway.
Yeah.
But that was a great test. Why? Because you're a mechanic, aren't you?
Yes.
So what do you work on?
Cars. I like cars.
Okay.
I love cars, actually.
You work at a local shop, or?
No, I just, my own thing in the garage.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
I have a good friend of mine. He owns a Eurosport of Westfield. How do you think he started?
How do I think? Oh, probably definitely in his garage.
In his garage.
That's where everyone starts.
I was at his house up in Bridgewater, by the way. He's done very well for himself. Really great guy, really good mechanic. And he has the floor lift, you know, the small one.
Yeah, the quick jacks.
That he used in his garage when he was renting a place, and he rented the garage at the house he lived in, that he was working on the side. He was working for a BMW dealer full-time, and then he was building his own business on the side as he grew. Now he's got a 2-bay place, and he's my age, so he's looking towards retirement now. So
maybe one day, man.
yeah, I don't plan to retire. I'm too. I got to do stuff. All right, so we did a compression check first, right? Now, where did we see and how did we learn how to do a compression check?
So,
how did you learn how to do a compression check?
Off of his YouTube channel, actually.
Some
Isn't
guy
that crazy?
on YouTube, right? Some guy on YouTube. So let me get this thing over here. So since Mina's paying me to do a full evaluation of his motor, I'm going to take it a little further. We'll do some stuff with the boat, the trailer. I want to make sure Mina's going to have a good, safe time out on the water with family. But so he gets a copy of the buying guide. Keep in mind this is not a in-depth guide. This is something you grab when you go to look at a boat. Heck, if it's free, I guess it doesn't really matter too much if you're going to take it anyway. But this goes through step by step, just the basics of what to look at and the tools you need, and you get a free one.
I appreciate that,
when you pay me
man.
to do an evaluation.
Thank you.
So as I said, we did a compression check. We had 125, 130, and 128.
Yes.
So now we're going to scope these cylinders, and let's just take a look inside, see what it looks like.
That I think is making them nowadays, and you can find them pretty. It's like a similar kit. It's not the OEM one, but it's
right.
It's specified to this.
Right.
It's called I think it's Submarine,
okay.
Submarina or something of that sort. But man, AI has been helping me a lot, believe it or not.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah, I use it all the time.
I would put up like this motor, and it would tell me like this is an OEM part if you can find it. If not, here's one that works for them.
Okay.
And they're relatively available.
So, again, it comes down to, I see some new coils on here. Let's put those spark plugs back in. Now, I think these are made by CDI, these coils. It says made in USA, but I don't see. That blue color is, they're an aftermarket company that makes ignition parts. That's where you're going to have trouble, is ignition parts and stuff like that.
Right there.
Gaskets and everything.
Yeah,
Somebody
gaskets
will
are a
make
little
them.
headache, yeah.
Water pump, you know, maintenance items, thermostat. Did you pull this out?
I did, and I tested it, and it's good.
Okay, good. Put it in hot water?
Yes.
See, you're a mechanic.
I've been trying.
Yeah. So that's cool. The wiring looks pretty good. I don't see anything like, you know, falling off. Sometimes you have, you know, the insulation kind of starts to fall off on them.
Yeah.
I mean, corrosion.
I had one tube from the intake to the bottom of the third carb.
Okay.
That one was teared up. I just replaced it.
Okay.
So that should be all good to go. I mean, that's the only wire that I really found that was torn up from looking.
All right, so we don't have a power tilt and trim to be concerned about. You rebuilt the carburetors.
Yes. Tested the floats, make sure they're sealing by blowing through. They're sealing just fine.
Does your choke work?
Yeah. How would I know if my choke works or
So we can test it. So go up there to the key.
not? Okay.
What you're going to do is turn it to on, but don't crank the engine,
Okay.
and push the key in.
Interesting.
Because cold starting, you know, is definitely a thing.
So to the on.
Yep,
So this is the on, and then push it in.
yep.
It's in.
It's trying. Go ahead. Let go. Try it again. Yeah, I think it's just an adjustment on this. So let's see what we can do. So turn the key off.
It's off.
So take a look at this solenoid so you can see what I'm talking about.
Now, let me ask you a question. I did replace the springs on this choke, but these new springs were a little tighter. You think maybe that's what's
So which springs did you replace?
the springs right here, and right there?
Okay.
So you think maybe that's what's giving me the
Absolutely.
issue?
That's definitely a part of it. But when I push it down a little bit, it went. So it may be just an adjustment. So if you look at this here, this is adjustable. You got the key off, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to arc something out and then you'll be mad at me. You won't like me anymore. So we can move this up.
Well, see, I didn't know that choke was supposed to be, I thought it was manual.
So I'm sure that you could use it manually too if you wanted
Yeah.
to, but when you're up there,
It's easier.
you want to be able to
One
push it in.
person.
Now these are very high-tech tools that I have. You know, don't try this at home. So I'm just going to move this. See how I'm moving it up a little
Yeah.
bit? So try it now. Try it again. Let me move it up a little more. Go ahead. Let go. Try it again.
Maybe the springs are tensioned up too tight that it's...
No, it goes when I push it just a little bit. Let go. Let's put a little lube on there. Let that soak in there a little bit.
Because the OEM springs were definitely, it was definitely way easier to bring this down.
That you may have to put them back
Yeah.
on if this doesn't work. Yeah, because that is tough, isn't it?
It's tough. It was
Yeah.
definitely, like, I did it and I was like, this feels a little hard. But then again, I thought it was a manual choke. I didn't think it was automatic. If I knew it was automatic, I would have probably left it to be easier.
So there's no lever outside the motor though, right?
No.
So some of the older motors had like a lever over here that was connected to it. Try it now. No, it's not enough. I think you're right. You're gonna have to. I'm gonna
That's-
put this back down where it was.
Uh-huh. I mean, but that should be easy. That shouldn't take me...
That's not a big deal. But you almost always have to choke these when they're cold.
When they're cold?
Yeah. Even if you're out, let's say you're out fishing, you shut the motor off and it sits for an hour while you're fishing, you always need to
Yeah.
choke it. All right. Let's check out our lower unit. Next. Let's tilt it up. I'm going to let your young back move it up. How about steering? Is steering okay? or-
Steering is okay, yeah.
Okay. All right, let's tilt it over here. Let's see if we can take a little bit of oil out and see what it looks like. And then we're going to pull. So this needs to have a
Cotter
This-
pin.
No, this one, what they do is they sell a star nut that goes on first.
Uh-huh.
You can see one here, I think. Nope, I don't have the prop on this one. But Mercury, Force were together for a little while.
Yeah.
And there's a star that goes underneath that matches the nut, that's sheet metal, and then you
Yeah.
bend it over.
To
and
lock it.
locks the nut in place. So you definitely want to get that. Let's see here.
That was actually on my to-do list, an oil change for down there.
Well, don't buy anything until we make sure everything else is all right, you know? So the oil looks pretty good.
Really?
So it doesn't look milky, right? It looks like somebody changed it,
Yeah.
right?
So someone was taking care of it.
Yep, somebody cares. As you said, these bolts were greased.
Yeah, they were definitely greased, and the propeller was definitely, or the impeller, is that what they call it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It was definitely replaced. Soft rubber, and it looked good.
Yeah. So that's good news. Let me get this rag. So that's good. So what you want to do is you're going to change this oil. Once we get it running right, going to make sure there's not something else electronically wrong with it. One of the reasons I don't like the CDI electronics
Uh-huh.
is, and you can probably attest to this from automotive, sometimes when you have mix match parts electronically, they just don't
they don't.
they don't communicate
Yeah, they
well
don't intertwine correct.
Yeah. So if we get it running okay, when you change this oil, you're going to make sure you have new gaskets
Uh-huh.
for
On
these.
each bolt.
Yep, for the, let's see, this is the vent. This says fill, but I guess you can fill it from up here too. And make sure there's new gaskets around that so that doesn't get water
Yeah.
in your
water
lower
inside.
unit.
Yeah.
So one of the main reasons I started working on this stuff myself, so got my first boat as 18 years old. I had that motor, but an older version. It was an 85 horse Johnson, but same V4 motor
Uh-huh.
from a plumber in Linden. I grew up in Westfield. And did you have this off already?
Yeah.
Oh man, you don't need to tighten it that much. So I took that plug out like that because I was reading the manual,
Uh-huh.
and I got like one little drop of water out of it.
Oof.
And I said, ooh, I got to have this resealed. Now I know one little drop of water is not a big deal.
Yeah.
As long as it's not all milky and not all water comes out.
Then you should be okay.
Yep, so let's take a look first real quick. So it doesn't appear to be bent, right? So you want to watch that stuff. I have one over here that's bent off a 40 horse motor.
Now you're looking at the fins? Is that what you're looking
I'm
at?
looking at the shaft.
Oh, the shaft.
Because if you hit something, so somebody reworked this prop, you're going to save this as a spare prop.
Uh-huh.
So you always want to look for fishing line.
That's
We'll
what
make
I
sure
checked for when I pulled it out.
Doesn't get jammed up in there, you know. Let me get my pliers. So this cup has to, did you have this off?
No.
So our seal is underneath there. Let's see. So this is where it starts getting a little tricky. You don't want to go too deep and cause a
Yeah.
problem, you know? Yeah, I don't think we're going to take this off because this has probably never been off. And I don't want to start snapping bolts on you.
Uh-huh. So what would you look for if I were to get those bolts off?
So there's a seal in there.
Would you put this one first?
Yes, sorry.
No, that's all right.
So you can see it on this motor over here. So you can see it over here. So you see there's a rubber seal in there,
I see.
you know?
Making sure that's all good.
Yep, and see how this is all clean, it's not corroded,
Yeah.
you know, and this is a saltwater motor too. but this lower unit's been replaced. See, it's a different,
Yeah, it's a different shade.
right? So it's not as old as the rest of the unit, as the rest of the motor is. So we'll put that motor on it. It's a 225. This thing will fly.
225? Sheesh.
That one's a 250 over there, the Yamaha.
For a small boat like this, it would probably would fly.
Probably sink the boat. So someone did put a lock nut on this, so probably okay. But I would definitely look at getting that cage. But that's all it needs to be tight.
Okay.
And you don't want it super tight because you're going to boat for many years. You are going to hit something in the water and break this prop. And you're going to want to get back in. So you're going to jump in the water. And you're going to need to change that while
Really?
you're
In the water?
Yeah. So they make a plastic tool for this that you can remove this nut.
Yeah.
Because it floats. Usually you tie a string to it, you know, and keep it tied to the boat, and you want to be able to change out your prop. So you can make it back in and not have to pay for sea tow.
That's great advice. I appreciate it.
Yep. All right. So let's look at so steering looks good. So you do have some corrosion here, but nothing major. Take a look at this one so you can see the difference. See, there's nothing left of the nut on there.
Yeah.
You see how thin this is now? Because it's just corroding out. So I don't see major corrosion on this motor.
Good for me.
I see grease, so someone has been greasing it,
Yeah.
taking good care of it that way. So when we run it, we're also going to check to be sure that we can shift forward, neutral, reverse. So I see your water line here, you had it in your barrel.
Yes.
Very good, because you're above your water pump, right? As you saw, your water pump's mounted on top.
Yeah.
I see guys all the time have their water up to here.
So interesting you mentioned that, because when I had the mittens on, it wasn't spitting out water. So I got worried. That's why I checked the impeller inside. But when I put it in the bucket, it was spitting water.
Yep.
So
it may not spit a whole lot of water until that thermostat opens up. But at least it's moving some water. Listen, you're not going to know anything until you get this out and run it.
yeah.
We can do all these tests. You know when you're working on cars.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's
good.
different
Okay,
than
good.
driving.
Okay, good. You get out there and you go, man,
Something's wrong.
what is that, man?
Yeah.
So that's what we have to do. All right, let's bring it back down.
Let's do it.
The carbs aren't overflowing at all.
Nope.
What mixture of fuel do you have? Or and oil?
50 to 1.
Okay. So that should be good for this motor.
That's all pre-mixed with the proper amounts.
So this is a little tricky to put the muffs on though, isn't it? Because of this. You had muffs for this?
Yeah, it was like coming from here, kind of.
Yeah, we are going to have to put this in a barrel. Because I don't have muffs for that.
Are your muffs different than mine? Are they?
So I have, this one.
That's kind of
Right.
how mine looked.
But it's not going
I
to seal
see.
off properly, right?
No, mine was more of a rectangular shape.
I have that too. That's this one. But again, I don't think it's going to seal off properly on there.
Well, then maybe mine wasn't sealed when I ran it. Yeah, that's how I had mine.
Yeah, see, it's just not designed to go on the bullet. Yeah, it's not going to go on there. It's designed to go on the lower unit. See the pickups on that lower unit?
Yeah.
So I got a bucket. We can run it. So let's pull you out a little bit.
Pull me out. Okay.
Let's go. You can just turn the truck on the grass a little
Okay.
bit more, and I'll tell you when to stop.
Sounds good.
I don't think it's going to scrape, is it?
I don't think so. I think it should be good.
Okay.